Hello, welcome to the Autism News Network. My name is Nathan. I go by Sub-Zero or Sub-Z or Nate, and I'm here with the drama queen herself, Christina.
Hey,
So here today we're talking about how we use coping mechanisms. How in some ways they can be good, but if we use them too much, they can be bad. So let me start off with Christina. What are some of your favorite coping mechanisms? It can be anything.
I personally really like the voice sounds. Um, Also, like a big fan of anything sensory toys. Um, but my favorite has to be probably the song that I carry with me most of the time.
Okay, that's very interesting.
How about yourself?
I either like to with my friends on Discord, or I watch TV, or I play video games. Sometimes when I'm at the pool as a coping mechanism, I'll read a book. I'll read a good book.
That's cool.
And how often do you think you need to use your coping mechanisms as said coping mechanisms, than rather just because you want to use them?
I would probably have to say I benefit from using it about every day.
Probably say the same thing because sometimes there's little things that annoy me, and I gotta go do something so I can get my mind off it. But otherwise, most of the time I just do that stuff to enjoy it.
So, Nathan, what happens if you're not allowed to use your coping methods?
Well, it gets kind of hard because then I have to find different coping mechanisms to try and get through the day. Because, like, if I get in trouble and I can't use the ones that I usually do because that's my punishment, it's a little bit harder and it feels like the days go slower. And what about you?
For me, if I find a day that I'm not able to use it or something, I seem to get more overwhelmed, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, one thing is also certain is we got to be careful with with how we use them because do you have any coping mechanisms that could be considered destructive?
Not that I'm aware of.
Because I had one for a long time that I'm still slightly struggling with, and that's twisting my hair. Because and it's for a long time it got to a point where I wasn't even realizing I was doing it, and I was just twisting it so much I was pulling out my own hair.
Wow.
Have you ever gotten so obsessed with your coping mechanisms that they triggered that somebody trying to get you away from them would cause you to melt down?
Um, it honestly depends on the item. Like, I'm very connected to my phone as well. I use that as a coping thing too, because I use an app called a coloring app on there, and I can use that pretty much all day just to color, and it helps me relax. So if I was away from my phone for so long, then I would have to say yes.
Mm. It's kind of the same thing with me because even though I am technically chatting with friends on Discord and stuff, it's still technically isolation because I'm doing it in my room, and I'm doing it, and when I do it so much, I can get triggered really easy and have a massive meltdown. It's not a pleasant thing because these things, you want to have them, but you know you can't. If you do it too much, it'll become bad for you.
Yeah. So what does it look like when you have a massive meltdown?
It's really hard to describe. Let's just say the best in short terms, almost a madman. Like I get very vulgar, very unattentive, constantly shouting or interrupting, and if I am also even refusing to take the necessary medications I need to calm down. And a lot of times when it gets to that point, my dad has to call the 911 to get me to the hospital so they can sedate me. And what about you?
I well, they been many of times that I would just like fall down. Um, when I don't have my phone with me, or if I have thought I lost it somewhere per se, then I start panicking over it because I can't find it.
I've had that feeling before, not necessarily with my phone, but with my keys. You said you've fallen down before. Have you ever passed out?
Um, I used to be really bad about kind of just like blacking out. So like I wouldn't even realize that I even did it until people told me I did it.
Did any of those, if I'm sorry if this is prying, did any of those end up with you when you regained consciousness? Or you end up waking up in a hospital bed?
No.
Okay. So what do you do to avoid panic attacks?
Well, I would have to say from like now, I try my best to think of something else at the moment. Or another favorite thing of mine is maybe listening to music where I get that off my mind. Well, how about yourself?
I've tried doing that similar thing before, but sometimes when I'm in that massive anger zone, not literally nothing I do can take it away, nothing, because all I can think about is just anger and the hatred, and it's just hard. It's really, really, really hard, and sometimes it takes a long time for it to go away. But I'm working on it, and I feel like I've made a lot of progress.
At least that's good.
So, what advice do you have for people out there, autistic or not, who are struggling with panic attacks and how to get through them?
Um, I would honestly say from like my personally from my experience, um, it's just try to take it day by day and just to be yourself.
So essentially, slow and steady will win the race.
Yeah,
I think that's some very good advice. Thank you, Christina.
you're welcome.
Well, thank you for watching. Until next time, for DQ, this is Sub Z from the Autism News Network.